Hey, this is Evan with Simple Sales Central Florida. We're back for another week. Sorry, another monthly Q&A at Simple Sales Central Florida. Um, we work to bring transparency and accountability to distressed home sales. We work in Tampa Bay to Orlando to the Space Coast. We work on problems like liens, probates, code violations, and title issues. And we'll buy your house or help you list it after fixing those issues. So let's go right into the questions. The first question is, my home is more trouble than it's worth. How can I get rid of it? So I guess that must mean that there's excessive repairs that need to be done on the property. In that situation, it really depends on your timeline. Are you looking to sell the property, in the next 15 or 30 days? Are you looking to sell the property in the next 30 to 60 days or more? If you do have some time, I would suggest that you consult with someone to see what issues there are. If it's just repairs, typically you could still list the property. It's just going to take some time to sell. And if it's legal issues, then you'll just have to look into those legal issues and see how long those will take. So, for example, if it's a probate, it may take 60, 90 days. If it's a lien, it could take no time. It could take several months. It just depends. So really your ways of getting rid of it is selling it to a cash buyer, and then also talking to a real estate agent or brokerage to possibly list it. So at Simple Sales Central Florida, we do buy properties, but we also, if the situation is right, we recommend listing the property with our brokerage. I inherited a home with my brother and I want to sell, but he doesn't. What can we do? So it really just depends on how severely he doesn't want to sell the property. If he adamantly doesn't want to sell, but you have to sell, you can do what's called a partition sale and sell the property via the government and force a sale. But if it's just a situation that's going to require a little bit of mediation, then you can just work with them on it. Hire an attorney to work with them on it. You can also sell out your interest in the property. That's possible. We've done that before. Buying out someone's one half interest or whatever the situation is. So that's definitely an option as well. So you have various options. You can buy out the interest. You can do a partition sale, or you can just mediate it. What is a lien on a home? So a lien on a home typically means that there is a legal document that is attached to the title of your property that states that some entity is owed typically only money for services rendered or for code violations, for if you owe taxes, things of that nature. So essentially, most of the time it's monetary. You owe money for some reason. It doesn't always have to do with your house. I mean, you can have IRS liens that is, has to do with your income taxes. There's um, yeah, various types of lien, but it's always an attachment to the property. And with the lien on the property, most buyers and investors will not buy that property unless that's cleared up. Um, at Simple Sale Central Florida, we do buy them depending on the situation, but you really limit the number of buyers that are going to buy it. So typically, what we recommend is to uh, fix that situation before you go trying to sell it. Um, that's typically going to, if possible, sometimes it's not possible to settle liens, but if at all possible, you definitely need to try to settle it. But a lot of times, what happens as well is the proceeds from the sale will pay for the lien. So there's not really anything you have to do necessarily. You'll just pay for the lien out of the proceeds of the sale. Next question. I just got a foreclosure notice on my home. What are my options? So if you just got a foreclosure notice, typically you have time. I mean, 3, 6, 9, 12 months before anything's really going to happen. So what I would do is investigate on, do you have equity in the house? Okay, great. If you have equity, then, and do you want to stay in the house? Let's say you do want to stay in the house and you have equity. You're really going to have to probably pay up the loan up to date. Um, it, if you're going into foreclosure, you're probably not going to be able to refinance. Um, no one's going to extend a loan to you if you're late on your loan payments. Um, your other option is to, of course, sell the property and get some of that equity and kind of move on. Um, but if you want to stay on the property, it's really about catching up that loan, getting your payments up to date. But if you want to sell and you have equity, then it's just a matter of going out and finding the best and highest offer for it. If you're in foreclosure and the property needs a lot of work, you're not going to be able to go to a retail buyer. So kind of limit your buyer pool. But you can still go out and try to find the highest offer possible to get the most equity possible. But if you, well, I mean, if you're in foreclosure, it's gonna be tough for a retail buyer to buy it as well, just because of the situation going on. Um, it may be possible, but not always. A lot of times, it needs to be a cash deal for it to get done. So, um, yeah, if you don't have equity in the property, you can do what's called a short sale, which is someone comes in. Let's say you owe 200,000, and someone comes in and offers 180,000. Then you can submit to the mortgage company and say, "Hey, we have an offer for 180,000. Will you take that?" If they say yes, then you sell the property and you move on. Um, that's what's called a short sale. So you're short of the money due on the note upon the sale. So those are some of the options you have. But when you do get to that point in foreclosure, you definitely need to start considering what options you have. What's best for you? Are you looking to stay? If you are, then you need to figure out your finances to where you can stay in the property. It's possible you can talk with the mortgage company and try to get some kind of loan modification. But if you've already gotten into foreclosure, it's a little late to be asking for modifications. Um, so, but there's always options, no matter your situation. Next question. My mom passed and her home's in probate. Can you help me? Yeah, of course. We've handled a ton of probate properties over the years, and essentially, what I've seen is sometimes people try to do the probate themselves and like teach themselves, and it ends up being a bigger deal than it really is. If you go to an experienced attorney, they should be able to take care of it for you. But a lot of times people try to do it themselves to save money, but it's very much worth it to just hire an experienced attorney to do the probate proceedings for you. Um, I wouldn't try to do it yourself. It's very difficult um, and costly. It will end up being very costly if you try to go about it all on your own. But I've seen people try, and they end up wasting a lot of money outside of attorney's fees. Um, but yes, we can absolutely help. Um, Depending on the situation, there's um, it could be pretty simple, or it could be a little more complicated, depending on how many heirs there are. If it's just you, if there's any um, equity in the property, if there's situations with the house, um, you know. So it really it's a case by case basis. Um, Next question. Just want to get out of my house and move on with my life. Can you help? Yes, of course. So in that situation, it sounds like you want to sell the property relatively quickly. What we would do in that situation is make you a cash offer for it, guaranteed cash offer, and um, move forward with the process, typically taking 15 to 30 days total. Um, and it's pretty straightforward. Um, in those situations, it you know you're not if it's a time situation, you're really sacrificing money because you're not going out and getting as many offers as possible, and then also at the same time, you want to move forward with someone that you know is going to close, because in this industry there's a lot of people that act like they're going to close and they don't, um, for whatever reason. And you really need to work with someone that you know is going to close on the property before you lose it. I can't sell my house because it's not up to code. What can I do? So first thing you could do is hire a general contractor that would bring the property up to code. Um, that's always an alternative. Depends on the seriousness of the situation, how costly that could be. Um, but then your other option is to just sell the property as is. There's plenty of people that will buy property that's not up to code as is, um, and it shouldn't be too big of a deal, depending on the situation. I mean, it depends on the severity, because I mean, if it's like you added on an addition that's not up to code, that's a pretty big deal. Um, but if it's something more simple, um, then it could be not a very big deal at all and not really cost that much money. So it depends on your situation. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're needing to sell your property, then you would just have to sell it to a cash buyer. Cash buyer will buy a property that um, has code issues. Do you buy homes with liens? Yes, we do. A lot of the properties we buy have had or do have liens on them. Um, Typically, we try to settle those liens before closing, but that's not always the case. But we're very experienced in handling liens, from tax liens, code violation liens, um, judgments, um, anything of that nature. Um, we're very experienced in working with, and we can definitely help you through that situation. And just because you have liens doesn't mean that you can't list it on the market. It depends on what type of lien you have. If you have a lien that isn't going to be negotiated till post closing, it's going to be very tough to list it on the market and get best and highest for it. But if it's something that can probably be paid off at closing, before closing, then yeah, it's not a huge deal. Next question. My home has a title issue that's keeping me from working with a realtor. Please help. Um, so, the title issue, some title issues can keep you from working with a realtor, or maybe the realtor just doesn't want to deal with it or isn't experienced in those types of things. Um, at Simple Sales Central Florida, we are very experienced in those things. A lot of the listings that we do as agents have liens, code violations, probates, title issues, but we work during the sales process when we're out trying to find the highest offer possible. We're working on through all those liens and issues that may come up. So, we've had several clients where we list a property that's in probate, and as the property's being sold, we're making sure that the probate and whatever other title issues are being taken care of before or at closing, so there's no issue. How does selling my house to you work? So typically you can go to our website, simplesalescentralflorida.com, and input your address and your information, and then you'll answer a couple questions about your property and your situation. And um, then, within a few minutes, we should get to you, typically 5 minutes or so. Someone be expecting a call, someone will call you and run over your situation, talk with you about it, and then see if we're a good fit. The other alternative is to call the phone number 407-338-4183. That will take you to our customer service that will ask you a few questions about your property, and a client specialist will reach out to you. Any other questions? I don't think I've seen anything. No. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. You can always call us at 407-338-4183 or simplesalescentralflorida.com. At Simple Sales Central Florida, we work to bring transparency and accountability to distressed home sales. We buy properties, we help list distressed properties. We do whatever is best for each situation in particular. We have tons of great reviews with our clients. We're very client centric, and we work hard to have good experiences for people in stressful situations. So I do appreciate it, and thank you.